Ahoy! I'm Tech Daddy Proxy, and on this channel we discuss technology, philosophy, and security. So, you want to be a master of your own universe. You're sick of using the same password for everything, and then your cousin Terry breaks into all of your accounts and hacks things up. Well, no more. But Proxy, I hear you cry, I'm broke AF and can't afford those fancy cloud management password subscriptions and shit. Well, it's time I let you in on a little secret, my security-minded friend. Come here. Come closer. I, too, am broke. I also don't like wasting time faffing about, so let's get into it. How to install and set up KeePass to manage your passwords like a boss. Step 1. Download KeePass. I've linked you in the description below, but you're going to want to check and make sure that you're downloading the latest version from KeePass.info. That's what we've got going on over here. It'll look like this, or it should look like this. At the time of this recording, we're on version 2.52. Click the link at the top here, follow to the download page, and download the version for your particular operating system. As such, you'll notice you can now get it here. And I know this looks a little sketch, but I promise you, you're going to look at up here for the KeePass version 2.52 for Windows, and that'll bring you to the download page. It'll start automatically. Don't go clicking around all over the place. Things get weird. We're just going to save that in downloads. Boom, there it is. Step 2. We're going to install KeePass. So go ahead and open the file you just downloaded. We're going to do this together. I don't think I need an update, but we're going to do it anyway. Okay, the installer comes up. You're going to select your language. Going to go ahead and accept. Next. I just let everything install and do its thing. Associate KeePass with the KDBX file extension. That's a KeePass specific file extension, so we can go ahead and do that. I don't bother with a desktop or a quick launch just because I like to keep my desktop clean. And then pick your location for where it's going to install. This will take all of maybe like 10 seconds. It's a pretty lightweight program. Boom, now it's done. You can go ahead and launch KeePass, and I'll show you how to get started. Alright, step 3, create your database. So when you start KeePass for the first time, it brings you a whole bunch of blank. It might actually give you a different screen, but because I already have databases set up, this is what I'm getting. You'll go to the top left here, create a new database. Your data will be stored in a KeePass database file. It's a regular file, so this is basically giving you the rundown on KeePass itself. And now we have to decide where we're going to store it. For this, I'm just going to store it on my desktop, and we're going to call it test database. Okay, now a database is like a master file. This file will contain all of the information about your accounts and passwords. Accessing this file is going to require a master password. I cannot stress enough that this should be an incredibly strong password that you should store somewhere physically or digitally removed from an internet connection. KeePass will even warn you when you're creating your new database and offer to let you print out a sheet to write your master password on so you can lock it up and bury it with your most prized possessions like some sort of crazy pirate. So we're gonna just, for demonstration purposes here, we're gonna go ahead and create ourselves a master password. Please, 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 strong passwords. Remember to repeat your password. Make sure that they match. Now we're going to give the database a name. You can make this whatever you want. I use Tech Daddy Proxy on mine, but we're going to call this test database. You can give it a description if you want. You can give it a custom database color. Why not? Colors are fun. And once you click OK, it'll offer you your emergency sheet. Remember, we just talked about this. You can print a KeePass emergency sheet, which you can then fill out. Welcome to step 4, building out the database and creating passwords. Now KeePass gives us a couple of examples here, which I'm going to go ahead and delete. And you can as well, because these are kind of just here as examples. Now, to add an account, simply click up here, add entry, or you can use hotkey Control-I. Now the title, that's going to be whatever service we're using. For this, we'll use Square Enix. So let's say we're replacing the password on a Square Enix account. Now, under username, you'd enter, let's see, I'll be Final Fantasy 14 guy. So let's say this is my Square Enix username to log in. Now it's time to generate a password. Step 4.5, random password generation. So I suggest that you don't just use the setup random password generators that KeePass has built in. Probably best that we set up our own. Now what that means is when you click on generate password, I have extras here. You'll probably see hex key 40, 128, and 256-bit, and MAC address. All the ones below that are special ones that I've added in. So to add our own custom password generator, we're going to open password generator. And now we're going to go ahead and decide what we want to use for our character set. Now, almost every password you make will need to be a minimum of 8 characters long, but some have a maximum character length. So I tend to go with making a version for 16 characters and a version for 20 characters. I'll always try to use my 20 character version first when I'm making a new account because longer passwords mean more randomization. So we're going to go ahead and set this to 20. I already have one made for 16, so I'll set one up for 20. And when generating a password, we want to make use of uppercase, lowercase, digits. I also recommend underline and special characters. Some websites hate security for some reason, so they won't let you use special characters, and I'll cover that in a second. You can also add in any custom characters that you want added into your passwords. Now once this is all situated and set up and you know the length that you've got and what you want included, make sure that you come up here to the little disk to save current settings as a profile, and we're going to call that test. So the way that I do this is I'll put the profile name, so in this case test, S because I'm using special characters, and how many letters or characters I'm using, 20. So test S20 corresponds to my test profile, I use special characters, and it's a 20 character password. We'll click OK, OK again, and now that'll show up right down here when we click on generate a password. We also have test 16, which is the same setup, or test S16, same setup, just it's only using 16 characters. Now the ones that I'm using are proxy. Proxy are all the ones that I set up myself. S for special, NS for no special. Anytime I had a website that says you can't use special characters in your password because we hate good security, I'll have to hop over and start with the 20 character, no special characters password, and then the 16 if the 20 is too long. But that's why I have 4 set up over here. That's how you set up a custom password generator. So what that'll do is we'll just come down. We need to make a new account for this. We're going to use our special characters 20 character password. You'll notice the quality is pretty high, 121 bits. And if we click on the 3 dots over here, it will display the password. I like that there's an FF in there, like for Final Fantasy, since here we are. But all you would do is when you're changing your password on this particular service, or when you're generating a password for a new service that you're signing up for, copy this, paste it in the password field. You can add notes. I often use these notes section for any backup and recovery codes for 2-factor authentication and things of that nature. And if you want, you can set each password to expire. Say we want to have a rolling every 6 months, I'm going to change this password. So it expires. We'll go ahead, bring down the calendar, go 6 months ahead, and we'll say that Friday, April 7th, 2023, this is going to expire. Now, once this expires in KeePass, it's not going to do anything to your actual account. You have to continue to think of KeePass like its own private journal. It's not connected to anything. Generating passwords here, changing passwords here, and changing the expiration dates and stuff within this program does not affect your account that this is referencing. This is all just notes. So changing things here doesn't automatically change your account. It's not connected to anything. But what that'll do is on April 7th, it'll put a strike through on the password saying that it's expired, and we'll have to come back in here, generate a new password, and make a mental note to go to our account and get everything updated over there. I'm going to go ahead and not have this expire, so it's not going to matter to me. And now it's saved. So now that that's set up, it's time to go ahead and start converting over every major account you know of and use. I would suggest starting with things like Google, Facebook, Amazon, any game accounts you want to keep well protected like Steam, Final Fantasy XIV, example. Shout out to Heck over on Avalon. It took me about a week to get all my accounts moved over, but once it was set, I can't tell you how good it feels to know that no two accounts share the same password. Side note, the data entered into your database, as mentioned before, has no impact whatsoever on your actual accounts. This database is self-contained and only used for you to reference. Changing a password in this database does not change the password for the service automatically. You have to do that yourself. So, step 5. Actually using KeePass. Now you've got your passwords all stored in your database. We're going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to close out of it. And remember, you're going to don't store this on your desktop. This is here for instructional purposes only. I would recommend an external hard drive that you keep unplugged, a thumb drive, anything that's ideally not on your computer, because your computer, in theory, is constantly connected to the internet. And I try and keep these as safe and away from everyone as possible. I have a little key USB that I'll use just because it makes me feel cool. But I plug that in, and then I can access the database from there. So you got your database file. We're going to open that up. It's going to ask you for the master password. Make sure you have remembered your master password. I cannot stress enough that if you lose this, you are locked out of the database. There is no recovery. All right. Now we're back in, and we've got our account. Now you can set these up in categories. You can make new categories over here. They give us general, Windows, network, internet, email, home banking. And the recycle bin, things will stay. Like, these are the sample entries we deleted earlier. And the recycle bin will keep everything there until you actually go through, right click, and empty recycle bin. Then it's gone forever. So back in our main database, we've got whatever accounts we're using. I recommend sorting them into categories that make sense for you. Social media sites, general websites, anything for finance if you're using online banking or services like PayPal or Venmo that you need accounts for. I would put those under a finance section just so that everything is easy to access for you. Because once you have a lot of accounts in here, it gets a little difficult to keep track of. And you don't want to be fishing through everything. So I'm going to open a notepad just to show you a demonstration of what we do here. So, actually using it. Got your passwords all stored up, and that's awesome. So here you are, you're going to log into one of your accounts, but you know you got some complex random password that KeePass generated. Now you can let your web browser remember passwords for you, but we're going to pretend that we're incredibly paranoid, and we don't ever do that. So just open up KeePass, enter the master password to unlock KeePass, and you can double click on your account name and password to copy each respectively. So you do not, if you click on the title, it'll open up the full editing page. You don't need to do that every time. Goodness forbid you do something in here and accidentally screw up your password, and now you can't remember what it was. So, what you're going to do is go under username, double click the username, and it copies it to your clipboard. Data copied to the clipboard will be cleared in 12 seconds. You can see the countdown timer moving. If I paste it right away, I've got my username in there. Once the timer has gone, it doesn't matter. It's no longer on the clipboard. Burn after reading. And the password, we'll double click on that, enter that into the password field, and it gives you the generated password that it gave you. But again, once that timer runs out, there's no more copy pasting no more pasting the password. You'd have to go back, click on it again, and move it over. Pro tip: every time I create a new account that I use KeePass to generate a password for, I'll save a copy of the database to a separate location for backup. So, different drive. I have an external backup drive as well as many different thumb drives that I use. And what I'll do is I'll name I'll prefix the file name with the date in year, month, day format, which I refer to as your MODA. So to do that, we'll go File, Save As, Save Copy to File. And now, let's say we're in a different directory. I'm just going to save it on the desktop again. We are calling it test database, so I'll go to the front end of that. It's 2022, October the 7th. Nope, get that 4 out of there. Drop an underscore, and I'll save it just like this. Every time I add a new account or update a password, I'll make a new copy. That's just so if anything with this main test database goes wrong, something gets corrupted, my thumb drive gets run over by a car, I have something to fall back on. Because again, once this is gone, that's it. The responsibility is the price you pay for security. Now you've got yourself all set up with KeePass, password logging database. Make sure that you save it before closing. This little asterisk up here lets me know that I haven't saved what I've worked on. And yeah, you can build this out. It saves everything as a KDBX file. Just keep your KDBX files safe. Keep your databases safe, please. I'm going to say this one final time. If you lose your master password, you are locked out and done for. There is no option for recovery. There is no backup. The responsibility is the price we pay for security. Forge your master password like the One Ring. Make it strong, then keep it secret. Keep it safe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found some use in this video. I hope that you're able to get yourself set up and more secure with some sort of a password management system. Remember, don't reuse passwords. Don't use dictionary words. Make it as difficult as possible for anyone to get into any of your accounts. And even if you're the type of person that does decide that you're going to save all your passwords to your browser, I've been there. It's incredibly easy to do. But at least that way, you can know if one account gets compromised, it's not compromising every other account because they are all different passwords. And if you have any questions about getting set up or using KeePass, I've been using it for the past 4 years for managing my own passwords, and I absolutely love it. It's free. What more could you ask for? But if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I will respond to as many as I can. I just want to see people working with better security. It's our job to keep ourselves safe in this online frontier because no one else is going to do it for you. You guys take care, and we'll see you next time.